I'm pregnant with Owen's baby, so leave him. My brother's wife, 12 years younger than him, is on her knees with such force it seems she might make a sound. Ignore my words saying, let's talk about this first. Since I and the baby will be living in this house, you and the kids need to leave. With that, she tries to drive me and my 3 children out. I don't have any children, though. What? To protect my family, I confronted her with a certain truth. I am Lisa, a 44-year-old homemaker. I married Owen, 5 years my junior, 10 years ago when I was 34. We met at the company we worked for before getting married. I started dating him after helping him with childcare advice right after he had just divorced his wife. He pursued me passionately, and I was eventually won over. We have 3 children, aged 20, 16, and 8. The eldest was only 10 at the time of our marriage, a sensitive age, yet he accepted me without any major rebellion, calling me mother. As my husband's career advanced around the time of our marriage, he asked me to become a homemaker for the sake of the children, who were hurt by the divorce. Considering the children had already been through enough with the divorce and remarriage, I gladly agreed. Now my husband has become an executive at his company, and our eldest is about to start working. Though I feel a bit lonely thinking about how that honest and good child is about to leave the nest, the younger ones still require a lot of attention. Life with the family is challenging, but it has been very fulfilling. One day, my brother and his wife moved close to our home. My brother, Ethan, 1 year younger than me, had moved to the countryside after graduating from college and was now returning to the headquarters due to a job transfer. He married a woman 11 years his junior last year. I remember how our parents were happy that he finally settled down after being single until that age. I had only met my brother's wife, Susan, at their wedding, but I thought she was adorable and personable, like a puppy. I thought my brother was lucky to marry such a cute girl. Hey sis, long time no see. Hi, it's been a while. On the day they moved, my brother and his wife greeted me with smiles when I went to help. After we mostly finished the work, my brother treated me to a meal as a thank you. Then he said, we just moved here and don't know our way around or have any friends, so sis, would you mind getting along with Susan? I gladly accepted, thinking it must be tough for my brother's precious wife in a strange land. My brother's wife, 12 years younger than me, was good at pampering and we quickly became close. Would you go shopping with me? Can I come visit this weekend? Let's go see a movie. Lisa, Lisa. She would frequently call out to me like this. I thought, this must be what it's like to have a sister. Having only a brother, I didn't mind being pampered by my brother's wife. That weekend, my brother and his wife visited our house. Susan seemed to hit it off with my husband, sharing common interests due to their similar ages, and I could hear their laughter from time to time. Wow, you are an executive at that famous company? It's amazing to have an employee from such a renowned company right in front of me. Hearing the name of my husband's company, my brother's wife clapped her hands in praise. My husband was flattered, and I prayed his bad habit wouldn't show. She was surprised that we had grown children. Especially, the age difference between the eldest and the youngest child made her comment, isn't it crazy to have a sibling that much younger during adolescence? I might have rebelled if it were me. All I could do was give a wry smile at her words. Then, as she was also a homemaker, Susan started visiting our house often. Trying to be considerate of the children, she would bring up topics like school clubs, but the children, perhaps shy, kept their distance from her. Before long, whenever my sister-in-law was around, the kids stopped coming down to the living room, which clearly irked her. She grumbled, do those kids hate me or something? It hurts when I come over and they just hide away in their room. Well, they're just a bit shy. They'll warm up soon enough, I reassured her. But once, just after my sister-in-law left, the youngest mumbled, I don't like that auntie. Why not? I asked. Just don't, was all he said. The other kids felt the same way. They'd say hello, but none of them made any effort to engage with her. Still, living close by and relying on me, I couldn't just snub her, and I couldn't refuse the weekend visits from her and my brother. The kids liked my brother, often running around calling him uncle and telling them to call him big brother. With my brother and his wife visiting on weekends, we often ended up having communal meals like hot pots, BBQs, and grills, which usually meant lots of drinking. My husband and they would end up drunk and sleeping over, spending most of Sunday hungover. The youngest, feeling neglected, looked sad, but his siblings were there to cheer him up. This went on for about 6 months until suddenly, my sister-in-law stopped showing up. Initially, she replied promptly to weekend invitations, but eventually, her responses became sporadic, though she read the messages. When I asked my brother, he said, "Seems she's made some friends and goes out with them." It was sad to see someone who was so fond of us pull away, but if she's made friends, I thought, that's okay. As time went on, my husband's work got busier with expansions, and my brother was tied up with work and chores, gradually visiting us less. About 3 months after my sister-in-law's disappearance, I noticed my husband's forgotten item during a weekday and decided to deliver it to his office. Crossing a footbridge, I spotted my husband's figure ahead. I was about to call out honey when I realized he wasn't alone. A petite woman was walking beside him, closely, looking for all the world like an intimate couple. Curious, I followed them. Around a corner, I recognized the woman as my sister-in-law. They were heading towards my husband's workplace, and her look, the look of a woman in love, was unmistakably directed at my husband, not her husband, my brother. Without confronting them, I followed like a detective in a crime drama, right up to a love hotel where they entered, arm in arm. Shocked, I fled back home, where my pounding heart worried my youngest child. Thinking it over, the timeline matched. My sister-in-law's withdrawal and my husband's increased workdays coincided. Had I been mistaken about her affection? Was her interest in my husband all along? My heart raced, but for the sake of my children, I had to confront this. That night, my husband came home late. "Honey, we need to talk." "What's up?" "I'm beat." "Can it wait till tomorrow?" He yawned, taking off his tie. "I saw you and Susan entering a hotel today." He froze, then defensively said, "That's impossible. I was at work." "You must be mistaken." His nervous behavior confirmed my suspicions. "By the way, thanks for the forgotten item you dropped off." He tried to change the subject. "I saw you when I was dropping it off," I pressed on. "Tell me the truth." "I'm sorry," he finally broke, kneeling like a penitent. "Since when?" I demanded, my voice hard. Stammering, he confessed, "It started one night when you and your brother were passed out. Susan and I went to the convenience store for a sober-up walk, and on the way back, she said, 'If only I had met you before my husband,' and one thing led to another. I know I have you, and she's my sister-in-law, but how could I say no to such a young, beautiful woman? And now, she's pregnant with my child. So, I was thinking, we should split." "What?" At my husband's words, my voice naturally grew softer. "What on earth is this man talking about?" "Just a bit longer and I was planning to have a proper talk. I'm going to divorce you and marry Susan." I was so shocked that my eyes went wide. My husband, perhaps thinking something, took out the divorce papers from his bag, placed them on the table, and said, "That's what's happening." "What do you mean by that's what's happening? I have no idea what you're talking about." "I'm saying it's over between us. I'm sick of a woman like you. I want to start over with Susan, who is young and cute." With that, my husband yelled, grabbed his suit jacket, and stormed out of the house. From that day on, my husband didn't come home, and we couldn't have any discussion for 2 days. On that day, when I came back from shopping, my sister-in-law was standing at the front door. The kids weren't home yet, and I didn't want the neighbors to know, so I reluctantly let her into the house. "I'm pregnant with Owen's child. So, please divorce him." My sister-in-law bowed her head with such force it seemed it might snap off. "I've heard from my husband." Then, at my words, my sister-in-law's face lit up. "Even if that's the case, you're still Ethan's wife. I think we need to calm down and have a discussion." "There's no need for a discussion, right? Owen and I just met in the wrong order. We love each other. And I'm carrying Owen's child in my belly. Isn't that fact alone enough? We'll live in this house with our baby that's on the way. Your kids are already grown, and they don't need a father, right? So, please take your kids and leave. I'll give you a month since I'm nice. I wonder where to put what. I'm looking forward to it. Yes, these furnishings don't fit the image, so I'll buy new ones. My sister-in-law rattled on about her ideal scenario without listening to me. Could she possibly not know? I don't have any children, you know? Huh? But you have 3, don't you? What are you talking about? It seems she didn't know about this story that's well known among our relatives. I decided to tell her the truth. Those kids are my husband's, not mine. What do you mean? Just as my sister-in-law started to ask, the youngest child came back from school, saying, "I'm home." Since it wasn't something to discuss in front of the child, I told her we'd set up a time to talk with my brother included and sent my sister-in-law out of the house. Over the weekend, we were to have a discussion at my brother's house. The two who showed up at my brother's house that day had an attitude from the start that they weren't interested in talking, only demanding, just sign the divorce papers and hand over the house. We're not willing to compromise. My husband and sister-in-law, elevating their own needs and taking an aggressive stance with the divorce papers. I thought we had supported each other as a family for 10 years, but it seems I was the only one who thought so. It was frustrating to end things this way, but anything I said would be useless. I agreed to the divorce. However, I couldn't just accept their demands. Above all, it would be unfair to the kids if we just divorced without doing anything. What about the kids? I asked my husband. The kids can stay with you. That's fine with Owen, right? As I've said before, those kids aren't mine. To my dismay, my husband looked as if he was realizing this for the first time. So, what does that mean? My sister-in-law seemed to have been left in the dark. First off, the oldest and the middle child are my husband's from his previous marriage. As I started to explain, my husband's face turned to panic. The youngest isn't mine either. Huh? But, you've been married for 10 years. Surely you can't say a child that big isn't yours. My words made my sister-in-law's eyes narrow in anger. The child is the result of my husband's affair. Huh? Eyes wide with astonishment, the sister-in-law gasped. Yes, the youngest, just a year into marriage, and my husband had fathered a child from an affair. I was shocked myself at the time. After all, out of the blue, the other woman appeared, newborn in arms. Once she realized my husband had no intention of leaving me, she vanished, leaving the baby behind. Divorce was an option, but my husband begged on his knees, promising never to stray again. The thought of his children, who came to call me mom, and the newborn, who seemed so pitiful, led us to rebuild our family. The baby was acknowledged by my husband, but my parents strongly opposed any formal adoption, so legally, the children and I remain unrelated. I hadn't heard about this. Staggered by my story, the sister-in-law seemed to reel. And if he divorces me, he'd be jobless, you know. After all, Owen climbed the ranks because he married into the family business, run by my relatives. Lucky you, Susan. You get to be a mom to 4, plus a husband without a job. He's got no life skills, so good luck taking care of him. No, I can't. I don't want this. It's a lie, right? Owen? With a sweet smile, the sister-in-law frantically confronted her husband. Owen, for his part, avoided eye contact, his eyes darting everywhere. Realizing the truth in my words from her husband's reaction, the sister-in-law turned pale, glaring at him. If that's how it is, no choice then. I'll agree to a divorce. Eagerly, as if he had been waiting for it, the brother signed the divorce papers. Wait, just a moment. Here's to happiness for the 6. Take good care of Susan, Owen. With those words, my brother laid 2 envelopes before them. This is your farewell gift. Quick to react, the sister-in-law reached for the envelope's contents. However, instead of what she hoped for, she found several photos of herself, arm in arm with another man, entering a hotel. What's this? Susan, what does this mean? It's not what it looks like. This isn't me. It's not. Turning pale, the sister-in-law repeated it's not like a broken robot, as her husband shook her vigorously. What's the difference, you say? From any angle, the one in this picture is you. According to my brother, a while after moving in, he started suspecting his wife of infidelity due to her odd behavior and hired a detective agency. It turned out she was involved in affairs with my husband and other men, and with my husband being involved, it was hard for him to bring it up to me until this commotion came to light. This is a parting gift for Susan. Slowly lifting her face to my brother's words, she then lunged at her husband. What is this all about? You said it was just me. I can't believe this. No, this is a misunderstanding. Hear me out. I'm not to blame. It was all her, coming on to me. In Susan's grip was a photo of him walking alongside another woman, not her. Of course, that woman wasn't me either. You, falling back into your old ways, I see. My husband seems to have a personality that once ignited, doesn't easily stop, apparently having dated several women besides the mother of his youngest child at one time. They say a cheater will always cheat, but to think he was juggling affairs with 2 women at once. As per your request, I will take custody of the children. Child support and alimony will be filed through a lawyer at a later date. Starting a scuffle, I called out to 2 people who likely couldn't hear me, and left the house with my brother. Shortly after, my brother and I promptly filed for divorce. It turned out, the child of my brother's wife wasn't fathered by her ex-husband, leaving the ex-husband single and not remarrying her. In addition to our divorce, his affair was exposed at work, leading to a demotion to a rank-and-file position. On top of that, he was transferred to a small town under the guise of new business development. For some reason, the town was already buzzing with rumors of his misdeeds, and he found himself ostracized by the village community from the get-go. He tried to initiate mediation, hoping to reduce the alimony, but the mediator was unfavorably impressed by his repeated infidelities, garnering me sympathy and resulting in a judgment to pay over $100,000. Fearing he might flee if allowed to pay in installments, I insisted on a lump sum payment, and now he's working like a draft horse to pay off his debt. However, with a rank-and-file salary barely making ends meet, and his bad reputation leading to outright rejections for any side jobs in the town, there are rumors he might soon join a fishing crew. After divorcing my brother, Susan was rejected for remarriage by her ex-husband, and with too many potential fathers, she couldn't determine who the real father was. Unable to raise the child on her own, she ended up placing the newborn in an orphanage. She returned to her hometown only to have her parents learn the reason for her divorce. In exchange for covering her alimony payments, she now helps with the family farm, with her parents controlling every aspect of her life. Despite despising work and having embraced the role of a housewife upon marrying my brother, she's back to working every day. Moreover, living under the vigilant eyes of her parents, she has attempted to run away multiple times, only to be quickly found through the rural network and brought back, screaming and crying, each time. Feeling guilty for having taken their mother away from the baby is something that weighs on me, but my ex-husband and Susan probably got what they deserved. I'm still living at home with the kids. Just to be sure, I asked them, your dad and I are getting a divorce, but who do you want to go with? And they all chose to stay with me. The kids have always been tossed around by their father's reckless nature, especially the eldest, who might as well be called the biggest victim. When they were introduced to their new mom, it was a mixed bag of emotions, but they were happy to have a mom. The eldest once said, at some point, that he truly hated having a father, this house, and even a much younger brother, but if mom was going to accept it, he thought he might as well accept it too. It was a mix of happiness and embarrassment, but I've become proud, realizing that what I've done as their mother wasn't wrong. Now, the eldest is bringing his fiancée home next month. The kids, all rallying behind me, assured me I have nothing to worry about, saying I'm a mom they're proud of. Being a mother for 10 years feels both long and short, but my journey in raising them is far from over.